What's up, guys? I know it's been a while, but it is Tuesday, so CassMac chats are back, and I promise I will be more consistent. I was just traveling and family stuff came up, and I put the wrong date of the return of CassMac on my YouTube channel, so that is my fault. But we're gonna be a lot more consistent, I promise. There hasn't been a ton of big news for the Braves. Tyler Kinley coming back, re-signing Saturday on a 1-year, $3 million. But if you included his buyout, it's 1 and 4.5, 4.25, and I really like this move, given how good he was with us when he came from Colorado. Let me share this real quick. If it'll let me. There we go. But I think the bullpen is definitely taking shape. Pierce Johnson signing with the Cincinnati Reds, 1 year, $6.5 million. So you get about a $3 million discount. And I love Pierce Johnson. I love what he did. But when the variation of his pitches, his curveball wasn't working, there wasn't a lot of places for him to go. So maybe the variation of pitches won't get stuck in a pattern, so to speak, with our bullpen a little bit more without Pierce Johnson, but getting 6.5 from Cincinnati, that ballpark's probably not going to be his friend, but and somebody's got to pitch there. It's just like Colorado. And Pierce pitched pretty solid in Colorado as well, and he was amazing with us for the vast majority of his Braves career. So wishing him nothing but the best. We've just made marginal roster moves lately. With trading some of our infield depth, Brett Wisely to the Tampa Bay Rays, and Ken Waldachuk, left-handed pitcher, to the Rays for cash or a player to be named later. So, and Vidal Brujan was also designated for assignment and possibly in that type of deal. So we may have a competition for the last bench spot, which I would project to be Nacho right now, Nacho Alvarez, if he could strengthen his utilityness, if that's a word. But I'm not quite sure. But the marginal infield depth has been traded or placed on waivers lately. Now they could be back for sure, but not fully to know that yet. Also, we don't know. We haven't got the update on Sean Murphy's hip labrum issue that he got surgery on, but if he's not ready to start the season, which is probably likely, then you'll probably see a little bit more of Chadwick Trump and Drake Baldwin as the catching tandem to start the season. It's just been unfortunate for Sean donning a Braves uniform for the most part, except his first All-Star season when we got him. He's been amazing when he's in there, pitch framing and all of that stuff wise, but the health bug has just got him, and sometimes you don't try to be injury prone, but it just keeps cropping up, and it's very unfortunate, but I think we'll be okay. We could add veteran depth there given the ghost of 2021 when we used 7 catchers. So that could be a possibility. Obviously, starting pitcher is still top of mind for everybody with the big names still out there. Freddie Peralta for the Brewers, that would have to be in a trade. And you would hope to have an extension because he's only through contract this year, which would be interesting what type of extension we would do because we typically don't give pitchers over $100 million. You got Ranger Suarez, you got Zach Allen, and you got Framber Valdez, but those guys are attached to the compensation pick. So if you don't want to go that route, Nick Martinez is, I believe, still out there, which could be he's not the frontline guy, but he could definitely be a interesting Swiss Army knife, but maybe we have too many of those with Grant Holmes and Ronaldo Lopez, just Lucas Giolito as well. But with Jeremy Hefner being in the fold, I know he loves 4-pitch mixes. That's one of his sweet spots, but I don't know who he likes in terms of makeup and stuff and things of that nature as much as I did Rick Kranitz. So even though Alex Anthopoulos has been talking about getting a frontline starter some way, shape, or form, and they're all out there, but that market is so slow. Well, the Yankees just traded for Ryan Weathers. And the Marlins got pretty solid 4 players in return. That's a pretty good job by Peter Bendix. They are loading up on prospects, and possibly with the Owen Cassie deal last week for Edward Cabrera, I think they're doing really, really solid. Ryan Weathers is a very solid get for the Yankees. Hello. How are you? But for 4 prospects, that's a little. Let's see. I don't know how much contract Ryan Weathers has, though. But that's a nice get for the Yankees. Let's see, contract for him. But 4 players, that's a very solid return for the Marlins. Let's see. Oh, he's pre-arbitration, so at least 2 years of control. So that does make sense because you got Garrett Cole waiting to come back from Tommy John, Max Fried a year older. Luis Heel, Clark Schmidt, and Clark Schmidt is coming back from Tommy John surgery as well, I believe. So this is a nice get for the Yankees. I think it's a little rich with the 4 prospects, but not bad at all. But theoretically, you're probably not going to see anything too huge for the Braves unless it's the starting pitching market. I don't see any other. I mean, maybe a minor trade with to because we've been trying to get rid of Aaron Bummer per reports, but that $9.5 million price tag, maybe a lefty reliever, because technically the only one that you really trust, Dylan Lee, is the only one we really trust, and Dylan Dodd has reverse splits. That's probably the only other area that I could see as a possibility. But again, Alex Anthopoulos does things that so I really like what the Braves have done this offseason. And you've still got a lot of guys in the minors like Caden Harris and some others. And if we do pull the trigger on a Freddie Peralta or something, you feel like that's the cherry on top, but that will be pretty expensive. If you could guarantee me an extension, for sure. Because the case in point, the Yankees just gave up 4 minor leaguers for Ryan Weathers. Not saying that Ryan Weathers isn't good and solid, and I know he's pre-arbitration, so that makes sense that it would cost more, but pitching cost gold, and it's like its weight in gold, but the Yankees have been clamoring for any move, and this is certainly one of them. So, but pitching costs an arm and a leg, and it just continues to evolve that way as well. So, not not surprised. Well, that's not a name that came up at all, but I don't think it's bad. You got Nolan Arenado going to the Arizona Diamondbacks for basically a salary dump. 30 Cardinals are playing 31 of the remaining 42 on Arenado's contract. So, and Arenado may not be the same guy, but still he be reinvigorated in a place like Arizona trying to win, and just a different feel, different change of scenery, because in St. Louis, it just didn't feel like it was a fit, and St. Louis has done a nice job of revamping and retooling as they are deep in their rebuild, so that's not terrible. I don't know what the production will be, but I think he's going to definitely be re-energized to go to Arizona in a place like that. And Torey Lovullo is a fantastic manager, so I think could be a win-win, and basically Arizona's not paying a lot at all. So this is a low risk, high reward type move for Arizona. They were in on Bregman. So I don't see this bad at all. So, and then you talk Bregman, 5 years, $175 with the Chicago Cubs. doesn't really make sense to me. Good for the Cubs shelling out the money and the prospects for Edward Cabrera and now Alex Bregman. I think that's it gets people excited and that's a fun lineup. But I think the fit in Boston with his swing and the Green Monster, and I think a lot of his production is going to be ate up by the wind. But he's a great clubhouse guy. He's going to put up numbers anyway. It just might not be the Houston Crawford box numbers or the Fenway Park numbers, but he's going to be solid. He's going to be very consistent, and I don't think the contract ages well, but this is exciting for the Cubs in a lot of ways. So I'm not going to poo-poo on it too much. It just doesn't feel like it's going to age well, but good for Bregman to get the bag. I don't know what Boston is doing, but they got to do something. I mean, Bregman was the backup plan to Devers, and they really have had ghosts of Mookie Betts for a while, and it just feels like they're not acting like the Boston Red Sox. They're not acting like the big market team that they theoretically are. I think they've made some good moves. Contreras, Ortiz, the back end of their rotation. Sonny Gray, solid, but does it necessarily move the needle? I don't know, but now they need a third baseman. Arenado could have made some sense. But again, Paredes maybe, or everybody's saying Bo Bichette, but you're not going to shell out 175 for Bregman. I doubt you're going to shell out 200 for Bo, given his recent injury history and things of that nature. I don't know. It feels a little weird. And I feel bad for feel really bad for Boston Red Sox fans because when Boston is relevant, actually the entire AL East, when that's relevant, it's still going to be a bloodbath with all the moves. Every single one of those teams have made this far this offseason, but Boston just feels like it's still trying to figure out what it is, and it's teetering and it's weird. But to each his own there. I think that you probably see another trade from the Cardinals, maybe a Brendan Donovan or Jojo Romero. I would actually like Romero or the lefty there for the Braves. Because like I said, we're trying to figure out the left side of the bullpen, or it seems like we are. So that's a possibility. But you feel like there's subtle movement in the lines of the bigger free agents, but you still got Kyle Tucker. Apparently, he's got a long-term offer from Toronto on the table and an offer from the Mets that is $50 million per year, which seems nuts. But he's been wanting $350, which I don't see happening with the inconsistency and the injuries in Chicago, which that just didn't seem like a fit. But I mean, and Bellinger and the Yankees seem to be in an impasse with he wants 7 years, and the Yankees are steadfast at 5 or 6. I think he's just gonna have to swallow it because I don't see. I don't see. I mean, you want your money, of course, and I'm not saying that, but the over evaluation, even though Bellinger was a perfect fit for the Yankees and the versatility and things. 7 years feels like a lot. So, yeah, I think the Yankees just severely overpaid for Ryan Weathers, unless I don't remember what kind of stats he has. Let's see. I mean, but like I said, the Braves are doing like subtle musical chairs movements with the roster. The only other big thing I could probably see is a lefty out of the bullpen or the starting pitching that we've been hearing about all off season long. But now you see another starting pitcher trade and you give up 3 top 30 prospects. That widens the price for highly touted players like Freddie Peralta. So that might back us off, so to speak, because again, starting pitching is gold, and you could see by the return that the Yankees just gave up for him. So you got to weigh. Plus, the Braves technically have solid options in Grant Holmes and Ronaldo Lopez. You just don't know health-wise how that kind of stuff is gonna. So you really want solidified backup plan. Plus, Spencer Strider's trying to figure it out, coming off the injury-riddled year of last year, working through what he was working through. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions in our starting rotation, but you also, so you want some padding there because you never can have enough pitching, but it's not as simple as, hey, let's snap our fingers, get Freddie Peralta, get Framber Valdez, and make it happen. There's a lot of layers to all of these guys, and Ranger Suarez has had a lot of back issues lately, and his velocity is dipping. So I don't know if that you can go probably a shorter term deal there, but and I don't know how Framber exactly fits in the Braves clubhouse necessarily either. So there's a lot of mitigating factors, so to speak. So we will definitely see, but these dominoes got to start falling soon-ish because pitchers and catchers do report February 9th. So that's getting closer. And there's still a lot of high blue chip free agents out there. So it does make it exciting at the possibilities, but the risk versus reward and all the other factors that play through it are definitely they mean a lot, and you gotta weigh it, of course. What's up? So I really like what the Braves have done. We will wait and see if we add any more, which I'm pretty sure we will. It just might not be as exciting as one of the blue chip guys, but it also could be because you just never know. But I think the Braves have a very, very complete and yeah, I mean, with Walt Weiss being there, we don't know exactly what his tendencies are. we'll get those very quickly. I think he definitely deserves the job, and deserves a second chance at it. And he's been with our organization for so long, so there's a lot of continuity there. And I really appreciate all of the upgrades to the staff and new blood in the staff as well, so it's not stale or something that we've already seen a lot of, and all that. So I'm really excited. Luckily, it's getting closer, and luckily some dominoes are following. So we do have a lot to talk about, which is a lot more fun than making up content and things of that nature. But I think the Braves are in a really, really good spot, and I can't wait to see how it plays out in spring training. We should be a lot better. Last year just felt fluky and gross with injuries and with unknown things and just a weird, just weird. So I think we will be absolutely fine, and the additions to our team so far have checked a lot of boxes. They really have, and I'm really excited about it. Obviously, you got to see how it plays out, but on paper and just thinking about it collectively, it feels really good. It does. And February 9th can't get here fast enough, and I'm just glad we're not having a type of off season like the Boston Red Sox and some other Yankees, even though they just acquired Ryan Weathers. But I'm just very excited, and like the different type of moves, like acquiring or signing Ranger Suarez, or not Ranger Suarez, I'm sorry, Robert Suarez. Maybe we'll sign Ranger Suarez, but just having those back end pieces and the track record and the back of the baseball card, so to speak, those to be able to shorten games significantly, I really like it. Yeah, I think that we finally have money we can spend, and we've done it in a very very smart and keen, sharp way, I think. And it's not just spending to spend, as it were. I think it's very, very much what we need, and smart ways to do it. Obviously, like I said earlier, if we could maybe find a sneaky left-hander to pair with Dylan Lee and Dylan Dodd, with maybe getting rid of some of Aaron Bummer's 9.5, or maybe Aaron Bummer bounces back with the different role, or the role that Walt Weiss and company seem to like more. So maybe that. I think there's still a lot of possibilities. Again, it's January 13th. And technically the season doesn't start till late March. So there's still a lot of time and still a lot of pieces to fall into place. And always there is prospects, pitching especially, that kind of open eyes and kind of force their way and force different decisions. That could also happen. it'll be interesting to see what we do with Nacho Alvarez and maybe the last bench spot, as I talked about earlier, with Brett Wisely traded to Tampa.
Back here.
Okay, thank you. And Vidal Brujan on waivers. So those were two of the options, but now they're not on our team. So obviously you have Mauricio Dubon, who is the super utility. So that kind of fills a lot of the hole, but I think you still need one more piece to the bench. Maybe it might not. A lot of these moves, excuse me, we've made lately don't jump off the page or break the internet, so to speak. But I think they all serve their purpose in ways, because you try to somewhat get players through waivers and maybe create more options. If they get through waivers, it typically doesn't happen, but it's a way to have players on your radar, even if you have to quickly move on from them to upgrade another avenue. Yeah, probably. Like I said, this whole time, starting pitching is gold, and it costs an arm and a leg. So we'll see what route we go. But yes, for sure, I think starting pitcher is the top priority. It just is going to be interesting to see which avenue we go with, because again, if you trade for one, you're going to give up pretty penny in prospect. And I would guess that conversation would start with J.R. Ritchie type, our number 2 prospect, for a guy like Freddie Peralta, which I would not be mad at whatsoever. But so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think that's like the last piece, cherry on top. And obviously you can always use relievers and different things, but also we have some of those in the minors, some of those guys in the minors that are very intriguing as well, that you could, if they have a solid spring training, to plug there too. So that's why spring training is important. It may feel long, but you do have to build up and understand that spring training's for pitchers and things of that nature. So there's still a lot of puzzle pieces and different things to be decided. But I think the openness of the DH spot and the versatility and different things we can do with our lineup is something we haven't been able to do in a while. So I'm very intrigued and excited to see how that plays out. And obviously, like, I don't see Marcell Ozuna coming back. And I think that is for the best. I think that's run its course. But I think with Yaz and Ronald and Sean as DH and Drake keeping his bat in the lineup, and the you with the lineup that we are putting out there, it feels like there's not a lot of lanes for managers to go and feel super comfortable, and that's what you want. And I think we've created that with our moves this offseason, and I think we've done a nice job of adding guys that give you grindy, tough, long pitch at bats, which is a very I think it's a very underrated and sort of overlooked aspect. Pitches per plate appearance, and things of that nature. I think we've added differences to that. And you got Ronald Acuna Jr. a year removed from his second ACL. So usually the year removed from a major surgery is when guys tend to take off. So that'll be an aspect to watch as well. Very exciting in so many aspects. And I really appreciate the attactive nature to this offseason, given how quiet last offseason was. And we're not privy, but it looked like we just didn't have the funds. And a lot of things didn't work out because it does have to be a two-way street. And it has to fit. And I appreciate the organizational culture and the atmosphere, excuse me, that Alex Anthopoulos has created. And that matters greatly. And I think every move we make. No, I think Marcell Ozuna, I think that is ran its course for sure. Not in a bad way. I think that there's always there's a lot of caveats, and it was a roller coaster ride. But I think with wanting to keep Ronald Acuna Jr. healthy and in the lineup, that's a factor. There's a lot of factors, but that being the main one. But the depth and versatility of a lineup, so you're not stuck, and you can give guys a little bit more days off, even though that's not what we preach. But if they're struggling, to not worry about the lack of I think you have premium MLB talent throughout your roster now, where if you need to give a guy a day off, you feel good about the possibilities of what those other guys can do to step in and be successful, instead of the fringe guys, the guys that don't have a lot of experience, don't have a lot of this, that, and the other. You feel good about the chances every time at the plate that a good result could happen. And I think that is something that we've kind of been missing the last couple of years. Obviously, injuries and weird unforeseen stuff, and that's fine because that happens in sports, and you can't so I think it's a lot to be happy about. And again, there's a lot of things that can happen from now to make our club even better. But I'm feeling really good right now, and I know it's only January 13th, but there's a lot of things to be excited about, and I really appreciate it as a fan, as a content creator, as a fan, and all of that, because I think we're gonna get back to our winning ways, and I think it's gonna be a joy instead of a ugly type of season. And I can't wait to see it. Also, the other big news from today: the Kansas City Royals are moving in their fences, and Bobby Wood Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino are going to have fun with that. Which, I mean, every team feels like they do something. So that's not, but that's pretty significant. But I think that is all I have tonight. I usually try to get these to an hour, but the Braves haven't done anything crazily significant lately. And I covered it all on my channel. But we will see. And again, as always, go Braves, champions forever. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps it a lot. Thanks, guys. And I will see you next Tuesday. Hopefully, some more big dominoes have fallen, and we will talk about them for sure. And yeah, the Royals ballpark is huge. So, but yeah, so I will see you guys next Tuesday. And hopefully Braves make a big move. And heck, if they do tonight, I might be back. Who knows? But see you guys then.